You may know him as the lead singer and principal songwriter of the band Lowest of the Low. He's going to be dropping a new solo EP May 12th. I'm talking to Ron Hawkins. Hi, Ron.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm busy and, but everything seems to be slotting into its appropriate rhythm. So,
well, you're a busy guy anyway. Singer, songwriter, you play a ton of instruments, you produced for other bands, and not only that, you're a painter.
I'm a painter and I'm a dad.
Oh, and you're a dad. How old are your kids?
Of a teenager. I have one 17-year-old daughter.
Okay, that's busy. And you're on tour right now.
For me, it's the kind of modern day touring, which is like little 3-day weekends, which is, kind of a cakewalk. Considering that back in the day, I used to do like 250 days a year kind of thing and live in a van and all that kind of stuff. So it doesn't seem like touring, but it is touring.
You started some of these dates last week, and you're going to be pretty much this month. You're doing solo stuff, and then you're going to be later this summer touring with Lowest of the Low? Yeah,
that's usually what happens. I've got myself in a situation. Anybody who knows Lowest of the Low for a while knows that we seem to break up every 10 years or something. So the band will break up, and then I form another unit because I write a lot of songs, and we then sometimes, like a situation I'm in now, the Low will get back together, and then I have the Low happening and another band happening called the Do Good Assassins, and then solo stuff, and I have too many bands.
There's no such thing as too many bands.
Well, tell Jill, my partner, Jill, that. Jill's like, if you start another band, I'm going to kill you.
So this EP coming out, it's called Trash Talkin at the Speed of Sound, and I've seen the 6 tracks, and there isn't one called that, so where'd you come up with that name?
It's a lyric out of the middle of one of the songs. I think it's the song One Horse Town, and it's sort of about, I would say if there was an overarching theme, it's about how sort of dark the world is getting in a sense of like, our social commitment to each other and how socials and the internet and AI and just the level of discourse and how siloed everybody is, like the kind of fighting online, and especially sort of the anonymous fighting that the internet can encourage. Because not that I in any way support Mike Tyson, but one thing that I do find funny that he said was that, people are too used to saying things that they would get punched in the face for if they said it in person.
Right. Yeah.
So I that's one little nugget that I think Mike might be right about, which is, there's just a lot of anonymous keyboard warrioring going on. And I think it's courage. I think it's not healthy for us. And I don't think it's, good for the discourse. And so this record is a lot about that, sort of just how the downward spiral in politics and our sense of compassion for each other. And, so it kind of comes out of that. Okay. Everybody's fronting,
Yeah, I got a chance to hear the first track you're releasing off this EP, Church of the Chemical DJ. And it talks about, how kids are giving up their bikes and they're kind of turning to chemicals just to numb whatever. And it could be, a lot of stuff has happened since the pandemic. Did you write this after the pandemic or during?
Well, it's one of those situations wherein, I've been a very political person since I was a 16-year-old kid in the 80s. And it's so the punk rock place I come from has always been a political one. And it's these are trends and things that I've had issues with for a very long time, but they've suddenly been thrown into huge high relief, and then COVID hit. And, just what we're hearing about the landscape of mental health for most people. And that's, COVID was really hard on everybody, and it really sort of shone a light in some dark corners of the way our societies are organized and how, kind of how ruthless and cruel they are in a lot of ways. And we don't take care of each other. If we do take care of each other, it's kind of in spite of the way the system is set up, not because of the way the system is set up. So that song, Church of the Chemical DJ, also sort of deals with the fact that we kind of sedate each other, Mm-hmm. And when I was growing up in the 80s in the left, there was all this energy toward, or if you look even 2 years ago to the BLM protests and stuff like that, there was giant mass movements of people in the street trying to change something. And these days, I feel like everybody is so either sedated by actual sedatives or by our phones or by our seeming sense of having, Netflix having everything we want at our fingertips, when really we don't have the most important thing, which is some kind of connection to each other. And so it's kind of about that, self-sedation.
Well, there's definitely a lot of division, and hopefully with music back and being played all over the place, that people can come together and at least have that in common. So, and you've come together with another producer for this EP, Devin Lohe? Yeah,
I met Devin. I met him when he was playing guitar. He still does, but playing guitar in Sky Wallace's band. And Sky's band really sort of blew us away, and Lowest Low and Sky's band became kind of a little family, and we toured around together and stuff and got to know each other. Devin is just such an incredibly talented guy. We had this, well, speaking of COVID, we had this idea that we were going to make a 2 producers record, which it was going to be 6 of my songs and 6 of his, and we were going to produce each other's songs on the same record.
Oh, neat.
And then COVID hit, and it was like, okay, so that's not going to happen. So what will we do? And then turned out that I had these songs ready, and I thought, well, maybe you could just produce an EP for me, and I'll sort of fly the files over to you. And then Devin added some instruments on his end as well, and then mixed. And he's kind of a genius. So it's like what he did with the tracks. A lot of the direction was started in my little basement downstairs. Like I was trying some things that I was stretching my limbs a little bit from what I do with the lower or my old solo stuff, and going into some new directions, just having some fun. But then when I sent them to him, he kind of took those and sent them out to Pluto. Really kind of, did amazing stuff with the treatments and everything, and I'm so thrilled with it.
So how many instruments do you play on this EP?
I play a lot of them. I don't, it's the funny thing is, like, as I said, I come from the kind of punk rock scene, so it's like, I don't play any of the instruments extremely well, but I play a bunch of them, well enough to get my point across. And it's like, so I play guitar mostly. I can play some keyboards, and I can, I play synths and bass. And I started on bass way back in the day. But so I'm kind of, and this is another thing I loved about Devin is he's just a very naturally musical person. And I think that's what I have going for me is I'm a very natural musical person. So I can pick up almost anything and make a sound out of it and make something, and my drive is not to show off in any way. So my drive is really just to communicate with people. So that helps me kind of get something out of any instrument, because what's the line from that Nirvana song? My intentions are good,
Yeah.
I'm trying to communicate. So it's like, that's half the battle there, because there's a lot of guitar players who can play circles around me, but they're not communicating anything. They're just kind of masturbating. So that's my short answer, is that I'm not very good on any of them, but I'm good enough on most of them.
So these shows that you're playing, Christopher Brown is going to be hitting the road with you, and one of the co-founders of Lowest of the Low, Stephen Stanley. When's the last time you and Stephen have been on the stage? You said that you guys have broken up the band a couple times, and so when were you last together playing on stage?
We were last together regularly on stage about 13 years ago.
Oh, so it's been a while.
It's been a while, and it's always me and Steve. The problem is always me and Steve, and we're brothers, and we love each other to death. And we also there's a great, I don't know if you've ever seen Supersonic. It's like it's a doc about Oasis, and they talk about the Gallagher brothers. And I took a sentence out of that movie that I thought was perfect for me and Steve was when they say Liam's got a lot of buttons and Noel's got a lot of fingers.
Oh.
So that's what it was like when I say, like, we were in a van, we were in each other's pocket 24 hours a day, every day of the year, which is such a weird and unnatural thing to do. And then Steve and I, because we're so close, it also is like, it's easy to rub each other the wrong way. And then the person so well that all the things that are going to just send them off.
Yeah,
and if
usually
you're in the wrong
siblings
mood,
are like that. Yep.
Yeah, see, I'm an only child, so Steve's Steve and the guys in the band are the only siblings I've ever had, other band members, and it's like, I guess I'm experiencing what a lot of families experience.
That's exactly what it's like.
Yeah.
So are you and Steven going to be playing some Lowest of the Low catalog?
Yeah, we've all got, like, the crazy thing is, like, so we come together. Chris is from a band called the Bourbon Tabernacle Choir, and it's like they have a long history, and Steven and I have a long history with the Low, but then we both have long histories as solo artists too. So there was, like, I think we went out to Wolf Island, where Chris is based out of Wolf Island. We went out there to rehearse before the tour, and it was like something like 80 songs. So we learned a shit ton of songs, and we're just every night we can switch it up. But yeah, so there's a smattering for everybody. Like there's lots of Low songs being played, and then there's lots of my solo and Steve solo and Bourbon songs and stuff like that. So it's really, really fun. And then, all three of us are, if you talk about trash talking at the speed of sound, all three of us are quite used to the gift of gab, and we've been doing it forever. And Steve and I used to busk and everything, so we've gotten pretty good at, like, spinning stories, and there's always a lot of laughs on the stage as well. And so it's really fun. It's sort of bigger than the sum of its parts, and it really is kind of a happening rather than just a show.
Yeah. And you're going to be playing London, Ontario on the 11th, so the day before the EP drops. Are you playing the 6 songs from the EP?
I think we're playing 3 of the 6.
Okay.
Yeah. There's one of them that's not really playable in this format, I don't think. And that's very unusual, because I always pride myself on, and maybe this is like sort of having been a folk musician as well, or having busted a lot, which is that I always pride myself on, like, I want all my songs to be able to be communicable or communicable,
right.
just with me and a guitar, you know?
Yeah, so you can
like
play it around a campfire if you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there are, and you know, like, and I get that there are some kinds of music and some forms of music that's just not possible. And so there's a couple of songs on the EP where, as I say, I was kind of stretching a bit, and I don't think they really translate that well in that format, but we're doing a bunch of them for sure.
Okay, well, that's something to look forward to. How can we find the dates and the places you're playing? What handles on social media can we reach you at?
Yeah, well, I mean, old school website, you can go to ronhawkins.com, or you can find us on Facebook, all of us, Stephen Stanley, Ron Hawkins, Chris Brown. Instagram, I'm at Super Sound System Soul is my handle, and all the shows are on all of those sites, so people can find us.
Okay, and then when the EP drops, how do we get a hold of Trash Talkin' at the Speed of Sound?
Yeah, that will be all your usual music outlets, and you can also get that at ronhawkins.com, and yeah, it will be available anywhere you get your fine music.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me, and best of luck on all your dates coming up.
Yeah, thank you so much.